everybody.
Huh?
Say hi.
Go ahead, Noah.
Hey, Paul. Right here.
Yeah.
Hey. Noah Lovick, NBC Sports Philly. Yeah, just getting to know some of the new guys this summer with the workouts and those team activities. Has anything surprised you, and what have been your early impressions of this team?
Really talented group, top to bottom. I mean, you know, guys being in the league, playing against them, but then actually being on the same side and seeing them on a daily basis. A lot of talented guys, you know, and it's been fun. I think the character here, everybody is on the same page. It's a real brotherhood. You could tell guys enjoy playing with one another on the squad. So I think first impression was, you know, this is going to be a fun year.
What's up, PG? Joel talked a lot about, I guess more so not necessarily deferring, but really enabling you and Tyrese Maxey as kind of leaders on this team, you know, offensively, however you see it. What do you really see this big three looking like on the court in terms of, you know, maybe not dominance, but what do you see that vision looking like?
I mean, I think for me, you know, Joel has played with a wing and I think guard play, being elite at all levels. I think this is the first time that I've played with elite point guard and big man all in once. I mean, for us, it's kind of just countering off each other. I think it's nothing's forced for one person to kind of take that load alone. You can kind of share that responsibility. But I see us flowing. You know, I see us flowing. I think all of us can kind of play our game within the game. Joel obviously dominating the paint and on the perimeter. Tyrese is amazing in transition and you know, in half-court setting as well, and you know, having a floor spaced around him. And myself, you know, being able to play off a big man and playing transition with Tyrese. So I think kind of all three of us can flow and make the game easy for all of us. I love sharing the ball and I love being aggressive to score. So I kind of think all three of us look at the game the same way.
Paul, I was wondering if you would ever cross paths with Dikembe Mutombo, what your reaction might be on his pass. To your left, hard left, right here.
Got it.
You ever cross paths with Dikembe?
No, I haven't. I actually just heard about the news. Tough loss for the NBA, tough loss for Philadelphia, and everyone that's affected in his loss. Condolences to his family, but I just heard about the news. It's unfortunate.
Thank you.
Paul, keep right over here. You know, you've been in the league for a minute. How good do you think this team can be? Like, you know, they have you, they have some bench guys, and you also have Tyrese and Joel Embiid, 3 All-Stars. You know, what's your expectations with this team this season?
I think we'll be really good. I will be hopeful that we're one of the best teams in the NBA. Top 3 in the East for sure. But I mean, I think we should be able to compete for a championship. You know, you think of Joel being one of the best, if not the best big in the NBA, Tyrese being one of the young stars, up and coming perennial all-stars in this league. But then you have veteranship, you have leadership, you have guys that have been in meaningful games, meaningful playoff runs. It's a well-balanced group. So I do think we have high expectations of being one of the best teams in the last team standard.
Can I ask you a follow-up about your game? So, you know, when you were in Indiana, you were like a young questioned man. So then you go to OKC and it's you and Russ, and then you go to the Clippers, right? You know, you and Kawhi. So did that help you in regards to coming here, or were you always that way, like a giving player? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter about stats, because it's hard when you're the man to go somewhere else and you see somebody else getting shots and you got to do other things.
Yeah, I think great question. I think it's just the nature of the game, right? Like, for a young guy coming into the league, I think being placed in Indiana, you want to define and figure out who you are in the NBA. And I always saw myself as being one of the best players in the league and wanting to be in that category. So initially, I wanted it to be mine, right? Like, I wanted, in a selfish way of like pushing myself to be great, is I wanted the team to be mine. I wanted everything to fall on my shoulders. I wanted that pressure. I wanted to be compared to the guys that took over for their teams. But then going through it, having injuries and going up against a competitive and a well-balanced and superstar team in Miami, you can't do it alone. You know, you need star power, you need firepower. Not to say that I didn't have that in Indiana, but you know, you do figure out that, like, all right, this is a challenge to win a championship, being a lone superstar. And so it wasn't taking the easy route, but it was just kind of understanding the landscape of where the league was going. And to where, you know, I felt that I did need help at that moment. I couldn't win the championship alone. And so the trade with Russ was first time realizing or first time being thrown into like playing off of another superstar and sharing the ball and sharing the workload. And then learning from that, you know what I mean, going into the next season, learning from that experience of what it's like playing alongside another star, to where I was to a point where I was like, all right, now I'm with Kawhi. I know what it's like playing off someone else that's just as special and talented. So then work on all the little things, like what does it mean to win and do whatever it takes to win. Whether I'm the star or the two option. And I think it was just kind of just realizing that throughout my career, what that looks like.
Hey, Paul. Right here. You guys, the players that Darryl added this offseason, you look at their ages, you know, you're 34, Eric's 35, Reggie's 34, Kyle already here at 38, Caleb 29.
We're old, I get it.
Well, from your experience in the league, how do you know whether a team is on the right side of the line of being too old versus being tough and experienced and the kind of team that knows how to win games when it really matters to win games?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we all have aged well. I still feel youthful. I still feel young. And I still feel I can play at a high level. I think the beauty in it is having the youth around us, KO and Caleb Martin, Tyrese. You know, you need those engines as well. You need those young legs as well. So I think it's just a good mixture that we have here. We have the veterans that know how to win when it matters. But then you have the guys that kind of get us to that point where we can kind of put our imprint, either it's late in games or late in the season. So I think it's just having that balance. I think you can't have too many on the older spectrum, and you know, teams aren't ready to win on the younger spectrum. So I think we're kind of right in the middle of where you need to be to compete for a championship.
Hey, Paul, right in here in the middle. Mike Borgnoff with The Athletic. Kind of to what Keith was asking about earlier, but because you have been on teams with at least one other star player before, what have you learned from those experiences about how to assimilate to a new team, a new star teammate, and how to make sure everyone is happy and the fit is seamless, and not just on the court, but personality-wise, obviously there are egos in play. Like, what have you learned from that time that you're going to try to apply to Philadelphia that things go well?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that the teams that I have played on with Russ, with Kawhi, they're pretty like egoless in terms of team basketball and accepting other stars on the team. So I was very fortunate in that aspect to kind of grow and be around those guys. But I mean, the conversations with Joel coming here, conversations with Tyrese, we all want each other to be themselves. That's the only way this thing's gonna work. You I got to be Paul George, Joel's got to be Joel Embiid, Tyrese got to be Tyrese Maxey. For this team to work and for us to learn and figure out how to play amongst one another. So that was just the conversations to have.
Hi, Paul.
Oh.
I'm talking to Boo.
Reg?
Yeah, we ain't talking. I'm talking to the big Paul.
But for me, I've kind of never had an ego outside of my first couple years, thinking that I had to be the man from a selfish standpoint to win. But outside of that, bless you. Yeah, I don't have an ego when it comes to this basketball game. I know what I can do and what I'm capable of, and I can play in any system, any style, play off any player, play with any player, and it's kind of one thing that I pride myself on.
Two more, James and Paul.
Yeah, James Jackson, WIP. Paul, you've talked a little bit on your podcast and other forums about kind of the intensity and what it's like playing in the city of Philadelphia and for Sixers fans. Just wondering if you can expand on that a little bit. Your perspective as an opposing player coming here, what that was like, and how you think that's going to be like now wearing the Sixers colors, playing for this fan base and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't click until I got here and hearing how passionate the fans were. But then going back in those moments of playing against Philly and being in big games in Philly, that's kind of where I realized, like, yeah, they are passionate, they love their team, and they do ride for their city. Being on this side, I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to those encounters, having those moments, and being pushed. I think it's great to have that intensity and that passion behind the fan base, because it's coming from the right spot. Like, they want to win and win at all costs, and the only thing that matters is winning. And so that's how you should feel. I don't think they're doing anything out the norm. They work and they pay their hard-earned money for those seats and their tickets, and all they want is just a good product out on the floor. So I think it's deserving. I think whatever comes from it is deserving.
Paul, Joel was just out here and he said that he's lost 25 or 30 pounds. He said, his goal is no agendas as far as NBA, all NBA, he just wants to win. Not that you need extra motivation, but does that even fuel you even more when you hear about what, his dedication, what he's kind of doing to get ready for the season?
Yeah, I mean, he looks great. He looks slimmed down. But, I think we all have our own motivation going into a season. It's great that everyone kind of has their own individual motivation. But we'll put all that together, and we'll have a common ground, a team motivation to go out and win. I think I haven't been here to really feel the magnificence of what it is to win in Philadelphia and how the fan base wants it. But from the little time that I've been here, you can tell the city is thirsty for it, and the city wants one. And so I think it's just great. Everyone across the board has the same goal of trying to win a championship. I've never won one yet, so that's always the motivation for me.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.